Hi, I'm Chauna Banks, and this is the first episode of Talking Points with Chauna Banks. It is quite a long journey. I'm very excited to be here today in this space, and I have my first guest, Dr. Chakesha Scott. She is the founder of Education Explosion and Impact Charter School of Baker, Louisiana. Thank you for being here, Chakesha.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm excited. So, who is Dr. Chakesha Scott?
Oh, wow. So, who's Dr. Chakesha Scott? So, I am a wife, I am a mother, I am a sister, a daughter, but I'm also professionally an educational entrepreneur. Some may know as the term edupreneur.
Yeah.
So, I am passionate about educating children, transforming communities, making an impact to make the community better than how I found it. And I believe that can be done through the power of education.
So I agree with that. My parents were both educators here in Scotlandville. And before I knew your dad because I grew up going to Sears Roebuck. And your dad is probably one of the first Black appliance salesmen. And then I remember going on Florida, and then I actually worked part-time at the Sears in Cartana.
Oh, wow.
So, and then since we met, we found out that your mother is an educator.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. And she and my father worked together at Astruma. But I had no idea because I actually met you through your cousin, Dr. Kay Dawson. And at the time, it was before you built your school. She came on my council show, and she was telling me about the school. And I was actually at the break, and she sadly has passed. Scotlandville Southern Lab resident. But tell me how you did not graduate in education. So what did your career begin, and then how did you transition into the education space?
So thank you for that. Yes, my parents have been very instrumental in just my overall career. My mom is a retired teacher. She's a certified special education teacher. She did retire from East Baton Rouge Parish school system. My dad, he was going to go into education. His bachelor's degree is in English, but he was in sales, so he ended up making a career at Sears. So, and my cousin, Kay Dawson, Dr. Carolyn Smith Dawson, she was very instrumental in just helping with the launch of Impact Charter School. She was the founding board president.
Yes.
When we first got started in 2013, 2014 on this journey. We were like side by side, two peas in the pod, trying to get the work done, meeting daily, talking about the challenges that will come up day by day. She will help me problem solve. And she also believed in the power of education.
And she was a medical doctor.
She was a medical doctor, but very instrumental, very community servant. And it was very important to see this in fruition.
Yes.
So my journey to education, my background is accounting and internal audit. My bachelor's is in accounting. I graduated from the Southern University with my bachelor's degree in accounting. And then after that, I worked several years as a state auditor for LSU. And I attended LSU master's program to obtain my MBA during that time. I am married to an educator, my husband, who is a certified teacher and instructional leader, principal, and I watched his work. So as I go to work, I was inspired through the work he did, and back then, East Baton Rouge Parish Schools, where he was a teacher and also a leader for a tutoring program during that time. And that's when I became interested in the educational process and how we educate kids, because I saw where the disparities were, and I believe that we could make some changes to make better improvements than what we were seeing at the time.
Well, I know, I remember, I don't know if this was during the time of No Child Left Behind, but I remember I worked for a SES program.
Yes.
And I worked at Delmont Elementary, after school program, summer program. Explain SES, and from what I understand, that's when you became more than a support to your husband in the education, but you went in.
So absolutely. So during that time, that's when I was at LSU working on my master's degree and in business. So my group, I was in my entrepreneurship class, and we were working on a group project to do a business plan. So during that time, I was so intrigued with the tutoring company, the SES tutoring company that he was working for. So under No Child Left Behind, that was when George Bush was the president. He had a federal funded program where schools that were identified as academically unacceptable, also known as AUS schools, can get free tutoring services from state approved providers during that time. So in order for a tutoring company to be state approved and get on the list, you have to go through a rigorous process, application process as an organization. So during that time, that's when my husband was working with a large company who was on the list. I believe it was Princeton Review. And during that time, it was mostly large companies on that list, like Boys and Girls Club, Big Buddy, Princeton Review. And he was frustrated with the quality of services after school that students were getting. They weren't, they had all of the resources and tools, but
lots of money in that program.
But it wasn't getting to the students. So he was responsible for supervising the program, but had no control over how the tools get to the students.
And whether or not it was done in excellence and accountability and fidelity.
Absolutely. It was more of, as long as the students show up, then we're happy. However,
sign in, you get paid.
Absolutely. So, my mind went to wondering, like, I believe, you can do it much better. What if, how do you become one of those providers to be in control of how the resources get to the students and making sure that the services that are provided are high quality and that children are getting what the program was intended for it to do.
So tell us where I know we're going to fast forward. I know that you serve not only East Baton Rouge Parish. Tell us where you serve, and then how you made the launch from a SES program to a charter provider.
Yes. So we applied, fast forward, we applied miraculously.
What areas did you serve first, SES?
So once we became an SES provider, that's when, that was the birth of Education Explosion. To become an Education Explosion.
Got you.
So
Education Explosion actually was pre-charter school. It's a total separate entity.
A charter school wasn't even in the picture at that point.
Oh, wow.
It was more of, how do we service students after school for tutoring to ensure that they receive high quality services.
And where did you serve?
So we were one of the fastest growing organizations. We served over 200 students across multiple districts, including East Baton Rouge Parish, City of Baker, Ascension Parish schools, just to name a few. And we were one of the highest performing providers in all of those districts because of the quality of tutoring programs that we put in place. So
how long did you do that? And then tell us about the charter.
So we did that for a few years. The City of Baker was one of our districts, but it was the one that I became the most connected to. One, because I grew up in that area. I attended Baker schools at one point. I graduated from Scotlandville Magnet High School, which at that time, the City of Baker schools was still part of the East Baton Rouge Parish school system. And I noticed a lot of disparities in that school system as far as just systems and structures that were not serving kids well. Just starting with the condition of the facilities, the walls were dark. It wasn't conducive to learning, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The kids seemed sad all the time. And I even asked one of the children, they were in 3rd or 4th grade at that time, I'm like, you had your dream school, what would it look like?
Mm-hmm.
And the little girl told me, she said, I just wish my teachers will come to work every day.
Wow.
She said, we have subs all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just could not believe a 3rd or 4th grade student was able to articulate that,
right.
and they were thirsty for a high quality education throughout the day, because I noticed that we're doing all of this work after school, but when we during the day, the kids are just falling right back behind.
Yes.
And so we're tutoring but not going anywhere if we didn't have the instructional day to align with the rigor instruction that we were giving them after school.
So you make the launch into the charter space.
So that's when I started doing research. At that time, charter schools weren't popular in Baton Rouge. Mm-hmm. Most people did not know what a charter school was. Right. Even though Louisiana had charter school law, it wasn't a common thing. So
what we knew in East Baton Rouge, we knew charter schools as takeover schools. You know, that's basically what I think is type 5. So the charter community came into EBR on a negative, you know, because it was like they're taking our schools. I was with EBR, and I actually worked for Crestword Learning Academy, which was a charter that had been taken over. So that is my introduction of charter school, and literally did not know that there were other types.
That's very interesting. I didn't think about it that way, and you're right. During that time, the introduction of charter schools were through the Recovery School District. If the school was failing, then what was known to the regular public, well, the state will take it over. But it still wasn't defined as we know, like as a charter school, as far as something being innovative and new, and a way to educate children with the autonomy needed to really drive change. So I was researching and saw that in other places, in other states. So I was excited to bring that possibility to the city of Baker, because there were not any charter schools in Baker. There were only a handful in East Baton Rouge Parish. Outside of the type 5 Recovery School District charters, I think at that time, the only 2 that I can remember is J.K. Haynes and Children's Charter.
Right. Those were the very first other. That's right. EBR.
So that's when the journey started on, with me starting a pathway. Wow, how can I bring one of these charter schools to Baker, Louisiana, to really bring innovation and educational options outside of what I was seeing and experiencing in those classrooms at that time.
Yes. So the journey begins. You go through the paperwork, assuming you got approved through Bessie. But I know the funding mechanism was a little different. Where did your funding initially come from? How did you get the money to build a brand new facility? Like, I had never seen a single Black woman build a school. That was like unheard of. Yeah. And so one of the things that drew me, because I, saw the big people coming out of New Orleans with all these wonderful ideas in a charter space. And I'm like, I don't particularly care for charter schools, but this charter school is different. And it's homegrown. It's run by were you 30 at that time? Like 30 something? Yeah, and all of that just blew my mind. So tell me, how did the funding come together to build the school, and what was the reception like?
So that's the thing. The first hurdle was getting approved. So during that time, to apply for a school, you had to go first to the district and the City of Baker School District. And if they say no, then you would be able to go to the state. So it was a hurdle just trying to get the buy-in from the local school board members, because they didn't want it. I don't think they understood it.
Of course.
And so when I finally took a year to navigate that, then once we applied to the state, that took a couple of years to do, because the first time we went through the process, a whole year-long process, it was approved all the way till we got to the that third round of the face-to-face interview. So it was like our application was perfect until the in-person interview. And once I think again, my age, once they realized this young girl is behind this chart, it's like, oh, we changed our mind. So then we didn't get approved, and then we had to do it all over again.
Wow.
So I did a lot of advocating back then, but fast forward, once we got it approved, then the hurdle became, okay, now we need a facility. I thought at the time, once we got the approval, the banks would just be ready to give us funding because, wow, we have this charter application, this charter contract, and we just need funding now to get a facility. And that was not the case. Went to several banks, far and near, and they all said no. Even the bank that I had been banking with for years and years and years at that time, they just didn't understand charter school at that time. They just like, no, it's a risk. It was a risk. So I thought that, we were at a standstill. So I tried to get creative. I'm like, well, I looked at the old Baker Walmart as a possible solution. And I was talked out of that by one of the city leaders.
Wow.
They said, well, no, you don't want that building. They stole all the copper out of it. It's going to be a lot too expensive to renovate. So I tried other places, none that would be large enough or where I can get renovated quick enough. So then I started looking for land. Said, well, maybe if I just get land and I can bring a modular building on the land to be able to at least start the school. And that became challenging because every plot of land that I found was hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I went to everyone I knew that I thought had money to say, hey, can I borrow? I went to family members. I went to other local organizations, and it just wasn't working out. So just finally just keeping, hitting the pavement, just trying and not giving up.
And at the time you were still working as an auditor?
No, so at that time, not quite. Once I started getting serious about starting over with the charter application, I did make the decision for that to be my full-time job to start this school because I believed in it. So I wasn't, that was my full-time job, lunching. It was a volunteer job because I wasn't getting paid, but I believed in, I saw the vision, I could see it. And I knew I just needed the time throughout the day to make it happen. And so fast forward, God blessed me out the blue with a developer from another state that believed and understood what I was trying to do. He can see the vision just as clear as I did. And he talked his team into investing millions of dollars to build a brand new school. We had no track record on our academic success, no track record of anything. And they took a chance, and Impact Charter has grown and developed into that vision I saw of one of the highest performing schools, not only in the city of Baker, but the state, because I wanted to make sure that I honored what I said I was going to do and how it was going to transform the community. And it did that plus more.
So when I became a councilwoman, my legislative aide, Kim Brown's daughter, Amani, was there. So I was able to, through Kim, I was able to see the progress. And it's so, I don't know if I ever told you, but Amani graduated like salutatorian at Madison Prep like last year. And so that's a testament of what, and even when they moved out of the Bakers, she would drive from Bruley to make sure that Amani kept coming to Impact Charter. So in that world, you're given grade ratings. So each year, so how long has Impact Charter been in existence under your leadership?
11 years.
Okay, so give us a little background on what it, the success rate, what the ratings. I'm not familiar with them, but tell me your journey with that.
Absolutely. So under my leadership, over the 11 years, Impact Charter School has grown leaps and bounds, even throughout the COVID, the pandemic era. We started with grades K through 3 and added a grade each year, and even adding a pre-K program.
Oh, wow.
And the school was originally only supposed to be K through 5, an elementary school. But parents and the community members became so invested in what we were doing. We were seeing the growth, we were seeing the change. They did not want to leave. They were like, no, we want to stay here for middle school. And so at first I was like, no, I don't know middle school like that. Y'all go. And they wasn't accepting that. They weren't accepting that as an answer. So we petitioned the state to allow us to add grades. So we applied for a material amendment to add 6 through 8, a grade level at a time as we grew. And they approved for us to do that. And we grew into a pre-K through 8 school.
Oh, wow.
So Impact Charter School has grown to be a B-rated school. We have the letter grade of B for the last 2 years. We had earned recognition as a Louisiana Department of Education top gain school for 5 of those 11 years. It may be another one that data has not come out yet. We earned the recognition of being a Louisiana comeback school. That means we are one of the few schools to actually have higher scores since the pandemic than before the pandemic.
Wow.
We were, one of the recognitions that I'm most proud of is we were recognized by U.S. News and World Report for the last 2 years for being best charter school and best public school. So those are 2 different award categories that U.S. News and World Report honored Impact Charter School with, because of not just our academic scores, but because of everything in totality. Our school,
the culture at Impact Charter, was phenomenal. The different kinds of events. When I have visited for parents, grandparents, just out the yazoo, know. So, and then, we have in this area, we have an influx of Hispanics. So I know I remember visiting the school maybe in 2013, and you had an influx of families, Hispanic families, that were at the school, and they were also very much engaged.
Oh, absolutely. That was very exciting. We were like a melting pot. We were able to attract families from all different walks of life. We had a lot of Hispanic families, a lot of Arab families, African American families, Caucasian families. We were like a melting pot, and our culture is what set us apart. It's how we love on our kids, how we nurture, how we set the expectation, how we start our day, how we engage and interact with our families and our kids throughout the day. We were very intentional with the learning experience, the activities we engage in, what we teach, how we teach, why we teach, how we teach and train our staff.
And I understand your staff their salaries were higher than many other charters or public school systems.
Yeah, it got to that. When we first started, of course, they were lowest because we didn't have the money like the larger networks to be able to pay those high salaries. So we were attracting our teachers on, again, the vision.
Culture.
The vision. Look, we can't pay this. However, this is an amazing place to work. We love each other. We work hard, but we play hard. And this is a place where you can truly make a difference and be a part of something that's going to be bigger. And the candidates that wanted to be a part of that and that believed in that, where teaching wasn't just a job for them, they signed on, even though they knew the salary was lower. And we were able to just cultivate that culture, and it worked. Once more charter competitions started coming into the area, even East Baton Rouge Parish, it was hard to just get by just on that. But by then we
Your enrollment.
Yeah, once our enrollment grew, we were
Mm-hmm.
positioned where we can pay the higher salaries, because what they were doing was, we'll train our teachers. They were we had stability. Parents knew who the teachers were going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other charters will offer higher salaries, and they
Right.
started pulling our teachers out.
Yes.
So then we were starting to have to train all over again, and that was
Yes.
impacting our academics, because
Sure.
we put a lot of training in our teachers in order to make sure that they're able to teach at the level, the rigor that we needed in order to be able for our students to achieve dynamic results.
So all of this sounds like wonderful, you know, hearing all the progress, the success. I would think that you would be having medals, and you would be, everything from now on is going quite well. In addition to when you talked about the training, you also have a consulting company.
Yes.
So tell me about little about the consulting. Then let's transition with all this wonderful thing. What changed? And like people ask me sometimes, who did you piss off? You know, but really, but tell us about the consultant, because not only your success brought you the interest of other charter operations and public schools that visited your school, wanted to see what it is you were doing, and sought your expertise in this field for consulting. So tell us a little bit about that, and let's know, why isn't this a great story now? So consulting.
So a loaded question. So you have to remind me of the follow up.
Yes.
So consulting company, EduStrategies. I help leaders start new schools. Also, I help new leaders strengthen the schools that they have. So when I started this journey over a decade ago, there wasn't a lot of people out there that had the experience to be able to help. How do I start a school? What do I do? Starting a school is more than just hiring teachers, buying desks, buying books, and a building, and we're open for business. But that is a
lot too, though.
Yeah, it is a lot.
And it is a business, just as you indicated.
Yes, it is. You do have to have a background and a foundation knowledge of operations, financial, academics, human capital, hiring. You have to have be very knowledgeable in the law, not just charter law, but labor law. It's just a lot of different moving parts that a lot of founders are not aware of when they first get into the idea of, I want to start a school. How do I go open a school? So through the consulting firm, we help walk leaders through that. For schools that are already existing, we help them understand, how do you take your school from good to great, or from not so good to great? How do you improve your systems? Do you have systems that work? Are you operating efficiently? Do you have a lot of turnover? Do you engage your families? What curriculum are you using? How do you train your staff? What does your PLCs look like, your professional learning communities? So if they don't have systems in place, or if they're not achieving the results that they desire to achieve, their gaps in certain systems or missing systems that
sounds like what my principal just talked about in professional learning. We call it IoT, but she talks about gaps.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The same thing are your instructional learning teams.
Yes, that's IoT. Yeah.
So that is important and key. And a lot of leaders, if they don't have that specific training to understand how that works, or how it all comes together, you're just not going to see those outcomes.
No, you're not.
And I'm a believer that all children can learn.
I agree.
And when they're challenged, when they have the right tools and the right instruction in front of them, and teachers are trained and equipped to be able to deliver that, a school cannot fail. I mean, they are going to learn. A lot of schools struggle with success because they don't have the right systems in place.
When this shows, I hope my principal, Alicia Abear with Northdale Superintendent Academy, because I swear that's exactly what she says in our instructional leadership. She lives and breathes this. So I get it. I get it at work and now. So I'm understanding what you're saying, even though I haven't been a classroom teacher. I'm an educator through the mental health, school counseling, ancillary. But now more than ever, I understand how important it is to have very good trained teachers and systems and strategies. And if you continue, every child will learn.
Absolutely.
Every child will learn. So so we've heard all this. It's wonderful. I'm excited. And the question that I'm sure many of you are asking is, what happened? So tell me, I know all this began with an audit. So tell me about that. And it's so ironic because this is what you did as a profession. So you were an internal auditor for the state of Louisiana for LSU. And so you also have your bachelor's degree is in business
accounting.
So you know numbers. You know checks and balances.
Absolutely.
Then you have a graduate degree in
business administration.
MBA.
Yes.
From Orso
LSU. Yeah.
College of Business, which is
LSU.
One of the number one. LSU is number in the country. And now you have a doctorate in
educational leadership.
From
St. Thomas University.
From St. Thomas University. All right. So with that kind of acumen, I mean, tell me, how is it that you are now reported as having this horrible audit? So start with start from the beginning. I don't even know where to ask, but how do you get noticed? And then bring us into, I would say, when you get the results.
So, I mean, that's a good question. I have a lot of thoughts of how and why, but just to kind of story tell how the timeline of when I was aware versus where we are now.
Because you're audited annually. I know you would do an internal audit.
So charter schools, so I will share that. So charter schools, as well as any public entity, they're required to have annual audits each year. Any entity that receive any public money
because the city would have them. As a councilman, we would get the audit every year.
So
internal.
So internal audit.
Post Netterworth.
Post-away to Netterville. Yeah. So they're a very known accounting firm. They also do audits. So the state agencies can contract with firms like Post-away to Netterville or any firm that's on the Louisiana Legislative Auditor approved list.
Gotcha.
So you have to be audited every year, but you can't just go and get a Joe Blow auditor. It has to be an auditor that's on the Louisiana Legislative Auditors approved CPA list.
So you as an entity had to hire someone from that list to do your annual audit?
So our board. So
your
the board.
board.
Yes. So the board.
And we're talking about is that an Education Explosion board or is that an Impact Charter board?
So Education Explosion is the board. Okay. And so Education Explosion is the nonprofit 501c3 that holds the charter contract for Impact Charter Schools.
But they existed before.
Yes, Impact Charter Schools. Okay. So that's one thing.
So they're not one and the same. It's you have Education Explosion, but under it you could have
Impact Charter School is just a name.
Okay, gotcha.
It's not an entity. Okay. It's just a doing business as. So it doesn't have its own EIN. That's the identification number. Because a lot of people think the school is a standalone business.
Yeah, I would have thought that.
All it is a program.
Oh.
So Education Explosion, Inc. is the nonprofit organization. That's the legal structure that the school is just a program under the umbrella of Education Explosion.
Okay.
It's not a standalone company.
I got you.
So the board for Education Explosion is responsible for selecting an auditor that's on the Louisiana Legislative Auditor approved CPA list to audit their financials every single year. And then once they do that, that audit report and whatever results from it is published on the Louisiana Legislative Auditor's website. That's have been done every single year for the
So
last
you
10
have
years.
10 to 11 years of that, and it's on the website
Yes.
for anyone to see.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All of those years have been clean audits, zero
Wow.
findings. And the Louisiana Legislative Auditor's Office has what's called agreed upon procedures that the approved CPA firms have to follow when doing these audits. So they just can't go do audits and do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
So for the last 10 years, our board has selected 3 different CPA firms over the years to make sure that they're getting an independent evaluation of the organization's finances to make sure that everything is in order, all checks and balances are there, everything is disclosed and reported. So
for the most part, have those 3 auditors also perform audits for other charter schools?
Oh, absolutely.
Other in business, but also charter schools.
And governmental entities and agencies. Because they're on that list, they can do audits for any state agency, a charter school, the city, any state agent. And they do have, and most of them that are on that list do have multiple customers beyond just a charter school.
Sure.
So those are the annual financial audits. What occurred with the audit that you are referencing to, the Louisiana Legislative Auditor's Office have 2 sides. They have the regular side is the side that I just talked about, the financial audits that you go through your routine audit. And then they have a side that's called the investigative auditing side. So that's a group of auditors that go into state agencies to investigate if any suspected fraud or anything like that is happening. So
is that kicked off from the auditing, the 10-year audit or the last audit, and that's what made it a
So the only way that team is activated to go and do an audit on a state agency or a charter school, a legislator or a high-ranking public official has to request it. So a person off the street can't call and say, hey, I'm suspecting fraud, go look at that. They have a hotline you can call, but that's not normally how their investigative audits are kicked off. It has to be a legislator who calls or tell the legislative auditor, hey, I want this agency investigated or this charter school investigated.
So what high-ranking public official or legislator made the call for the investigation, and for what basis?
So I later found out, because when the audit was going on, I did not know where it was coming from. I asked the auditor itself, I'm like, who requested it? They're like, we can't tell you that. I said, well,
Is that normal?
That was my first time ever hearing a thing. Our legal counsel at the time was confused by it because it was just rare that they would do that on a charter school. So for a couple of years, as the audit went on for like nearly 2 years, they would not disclose who did it or what the letter said. I was like, can I see a redacted version of the complaint of what they're saying? I'm like, y'all can look at whatever you want because all of our things are in order. So it wasn't that, it was just strange.
Right.
Because out of all schools, we have the tightest internal controls, so there's no reason for you to come audit us. So after their audit report was published, that's when the Advocate newspaper released a story where State Representative Barbara Carpenter was quoted as she was the one who proudly requested the investigative audit to investigate our school, which was very strange to me because she has never been to the school. She has never, we've never had a conversation about the school. And she lived in Baker, and the school was making a positive difference in
her community.
Absolutely. So to learn that information, that she was the legislator and the school was in her district.
Right.
So to learn that information was just very.
So you don't want to hurt your school that's making a positive. That's a good thing for you as a local elected official. Okay, so you learned that Representative Barbara Carpenter, so she blew the whistle on her own self because she was proud that she had done this.
Yeah.
According to the Advocate.
Yeah, according to her statement in the Advocate newspaper, she stated that she didn't even have a reason. She just said she told them to just go look over there. I think they're doing something. Go look into that school, which is it's just strange.
Have you all ever had a conversation?
Never. And
afterwards, did you reach out to her? Did she reach out to you?
Well, once that audit report was released, things just started moving, pretty fast paced.
And it wouldn't really matter.
Yeah, it didn't really matter at that point.
Yeah.
So what they started looking into as what should have been a regular financial audit, they, for whatever reason, it became very malicious. Yeah. They started doing things beyond just looking at financial statements. So if you
so let me get it straight. They're auditing Education Explosion.
Yes. They were supposed
the entire entity.
Yes.
Including your it as a nonprofit and the program impact charter, or as one?
As one. So they should have been auditing the financial statements of the organization. Everything has
Education Explosion.
Okay. Yes. And it just turned into something that was beyond that. And again,
give me examples of what was not normal and what looked as though it was a witch hunt, my words, or that it was malicious.
Well, the fact that they were even auditing us was strange because, again, we had.
But they have a right.
We had 10 years of purpose. But you're right. If a legislator wants them to look into it, fine, look into it.
Yeah.
However, when he first showed up, the lead auditor. So Thomas Horn, his name was Thomas Horn. He was the lead auditor on the project. So he showed up saying, "We're here to look into."
This is during the school day.
And during the school
day. No notice.
The second day of school.
Wow.
The second day of school.
And this is in 2023.
And he
August of 2023.
August 6, 2023.
I believe that's when I was running against Barbara Carpenter.
And it was the first day of qualifying. And that was the Bessie race. That was.
Is that where you running?
I ran for Bessie in 2019. So that was the year where it was time for re-election. And that was the first day of qualifying.
So you ran for Bessie in 2019. And
so if I would have ran again, that was the day I would have had to go out there, down there and qualify.
And I did support you in that Bessie race.
Yes.
It would eventually the seat was won by Bessie member Preston Castile.
Yeah.
And I supported him in 2023. But I was running at that time for the District 63 race, and you supported me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I know politics, feelings get hurt about stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put any words or motive behind anyone. So I guess the only thing that I could ask now is once the audit began, and I'm just thinking, Barbara Carpenter also had the legislative auditors come behind after the city of Baker, right around that same time, but I'm not sure it didn't go very far.
Was it the city of Baker or the school district?
It was the city of Baker.
Oh, the city of Baker.
Yeah, because I remember, being a councilwoman, being up, this city officials, the mayor being upset about that. So it's like that power became somewhat weaponized, where anybody, any political foe, any political opposition, then you're going to stick the legislative auditors on them, which is such a waste of taxpayers' money.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I agree.
It is what it is.
And I didn't put the two together back then because, one, I wasn't even thinking about running again for Bessie. But when you reflect back on the dates, but I do remember.
And at the time, I had no idea you were going through all this.
Right, because I didn't know it was going to turn into something like this. I'm thinking, okay, they routine audit, they want to let them look at whatever they want. But when the auditor asked me for editing access, that was a red flag to me.
Explain that.
So when auditors review records or financial records, they need just the actual documents or
paper,
either
electronic,
paper or read only, where they're just looking to see how the money flows, or they're looking to, follow the trail. You don't need access to go and change numbers. So when you go in people's accounting system and change, that could be very detrimental, especially if something happens and that entity is responsible for that. So when he asks for full access,
Thomas Horn.
Yes, Thomas Horn, when he asked for full access to into our financial books and our financial records, I'm like, that's not right. And no, I'm not doing that. And she's like, well, I can get it if I want
what
it.
Month is what month is this? Is this still
This is that same day he showed up.
Oh wow, first day.
Yeah. And that's when I
said I'll get it if I want it.
Yeah. So I said, well, you need to get me in touch with your supervisor, because I'm not doing it. And then I also called our legal counsel at that time to tell him what was going on. And then he said, you did the right thing. You don't just hand out untethered access. You're not doing that. So we'll get them whatever documents that they want to see, and go from there.
What did the supervisor
and so when I was waiting for the supervisor to call back, and then he said, he went ahead and got back with me, Thomas Horn did, and said, well, we'll go ahead and take the read-only access.
Wow.
So if I was someone who didn't know any better, no telling what that would have turned out too.
Exactly.
But 2 years of just the investigation, that's when I realized it was beyond just looking at financial records. Is when I started receiving notifications that my phone records were being subpoenaed, and other people and other vendors around me were being accessed.
So once they got that record, they knew who your vendors were, and they started reaching out to your vendors?
I don't know what or why they were doing any of it. I was just confused. I was still confused of what is going on.
Right.
So normally you can kind of tell what someone is looking for or looking at just by what they're asking for, but the target kept changing. They'll ask for this, and they're asking for something else totally unrelated. And it just became very cumbersome because we were still trying to operate a school. But we did comply. We were fully cooperative. We gave them whatever they were looking for. And the whole time I was confident that everything will be just fine, because I'm very bureaucratic by the book. And that's how we've always operated at Impact, which is how we were able to have clean audits, because I've always believed in checks and balances. I knew the importance of making sure we do everything by the book. So fast forward in May, when we thought it was actually gone away because we hadn't heard from them, it was pretty quiet. All of a sudden, that's when the surprise raid
result. Oh, you had a raid?
In May, when they came in with police, and we have a search.
Who came in?
The legislative auditors and the sheriff's office in May of 2024, saying that they had a search warrant. And what's strange was the media, the news people beat them there. So I'm like, well, how would they know about these people coming in? So it was just.
Was it all the media or WBRZ? I mean, that's what I see all the time.
One called and one was actually showed up.
So WAB was one, and I'm sure WBRZ was the other.
But WBRZ, WAB, they both inquired.
Yeah. So let me wait before you move on. You had a subpoena. That meant a judge had to sign. So tell me.
No, it was a search warrant that the judge signed.
What judge signed it, and what would have warranted in an audit a subpoena for a search warrant?
So Judge Ebony Rose Johnson signed the search warrant for them to come in and do that.
On what grounds?
I don't know. And I was.
What would they have had to tell the judge?
I don't know. I was confused by it because in August we had already given them every single document. They literally took 3 days to scan every single document in our file cabinet. So I didn't understand the purpose of that. But that's what they did. And that's when it became public.
So is this in the middle of the school day with kids and everybody?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They came with the police, the sheriff's office, and who else? And the auditor.
The auditor, but it's the auditors, the ones that was getting whatever they want.
And they were just going through your office?
All of the offices. And they took all of the documents, all of the records, and to this day we haven't gotten them back. I haven't gotten
So they
back.
took the actual document, not electronic, the physical document,
and computers.
and they seized computers.
Mm-hmm.
And this happened in May of 2024.
Yes, and we still don't, and they haven't been returned as of today. We still don't have them back.
Why?
I don't know.
You've asked for it.
Our attorneys have asked for them, and
I hate to say it, but that's how I still don't have my things from the George A. Newman Community Center. This political system is wretched. It is, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. Whoo. Okay, I have to take a breath, and I didn't even go through it. So I'm sure you were like in shock.
Yes.
And what happens next?
So that's when things became difficult because the news reported it as like it was something wrong and illegal going on, and that just narrative in dark clouds.
Did they interview you?
No.
Did the media ever interview you regarding the seizure or the search warrant?
No.
Never?
No. No.
But what about balanced news?
I don't think that exists anymore. It does not exist.
Okay. All right. They never act, that's hard for me to believe because, okay. So WAFB and WBRZ never once came to you and said, what is this about? Why are they well?
No.
Mercy. Okay. All right. So this is May 2024.
Yes.
What happens next?
So that, like I said, that it was just like a dark cloud over our organization because now you've brought the public in and upset the staff, the public of like, is something wrong? And we're still in the dark. Our board is in the dark. I'm in the dark. Nobody knows what's going on. No one knows why is this turned into a raid of seasoned documents that we already voluntarily gave over. It was just all confusing. But nevertheless, I was confident that whatever they're looking for, we've done everything by the book. Wow. So it'll all work itself out. And that fall in August, as we were getting ready for our renewal, because it was time for our renewal, the school had done well academically, operationally. The Louisiana Department of Education also does its own audits, and we aced every one of them. Everything was perfect in position for our renewal, for a 6-year renewal. Mm-hmm. In August, the Louisiana Department of Education came to an Education Explosion Board meeting to present to the board the renewal process. Our board president asked the question, well, this audit that they have now published on the news, will this affect the renewal? The Louisiana Department of Education counsel was there, and he said, I'm glad you asked the question. I knew y'all were going to ask that. No, this will not affect your renewal as long as you have the letter grade that you're supposed to have, and you will get the renewal. We're just waiting on the letter grades to come out. So whatever the legislative auditor is doing,
that's separate.
Yes, that's what they told us. Mm-hmm. So
because probably that's the way it always has been.
Yes. Okay. Yes. So in December, when it was time for the renewal, 2 weeks before that, the assistant superintendent, Jermaine Gilson,
that's for LDOE.
Yes,
Department of Education.
She called and
Jermaine Gilson.
Yes.
Okay.
She is the current assistant superintendent for the LDOE, and she called right after the letter grade came out. Right after
which was
a B.
Okay.
A B. And right after we posted it on our social media to celebrate the students and staff for the hard work that we had done, she called and said, hi, first I want to congratulate you for the B, great job. However, we're taking you off the agenda for renewal because we don't know what's going on with this audit, and we can't renew you with an audit. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's not what you told us. Mm-hmm. You said that it would have nothing to do with that. And I said, I don't think nothing is going to be in that audit. And if it is, then you go through the revocation process.
Right. One
They
that
have
has nothing to do with the
right.
other.
You
Right.
can't hold us hostage for something that's on the news as a unknown.
I swear this is exactly what I've been going through with the city. Okay.
Really? So, but they didn't listen. They were like, we're going to do what we want to do. And they did. So they took us off the agenda, which was unfair because at that time,
had the agenda been printed, or what? I don't know that process. So, and we're talking about the Bessie agenda, right?
Yes.
The Board of Education and Secondary Education. Is that how I go?
Yeah, the Board of Elementary and Secondary
Elementary
Education.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in December they were to meet, right? And part of their agenda was to renew Impact Charter School.
Yes.
Or Education Explosion.
Yes, and I believe 17 other schools.
And 17 other schools.
Yes. So, and it was just strange because at that time, GeoPrep was also in the news for their board members giving each other contracts. So the ethics board had fined that organization, which they apologized for, and they said they will pay the money back. So their board members were actually violating ethics law, and they remained.
They were on the list then as well.
Yes, and they remained on the agenda to be renewed with no conditions or restrictions or anything, but they took us all the way off the agenda for this unknown mystery audit that the news reported during the search warrant situation.
Okay.
So we believe that was just very unfair. It was very discriminatory.
Absolutely.
And our board decided to take legal action by filing an injunction to stop them from taking us off the agenda. So that was our first legal challenge of, wait a minute, we did the work. The rules are the rules. We should not be taken off the agenda for our renewal. So that was that.
So you sued Bessie for according what you felt is a violation of your ability to be renewed in a timely process as part of law.
The board, board did.
And so you sued
the board.
You sued the Bessie board.
The Education Explosion board.
Excuse me. Education Explosion board, in which you are not a member of the board, correct?
No.
Okay. Are you an employee?
I was.
Yeah. During that time?
Yes, during that time.
So you're an employee. There's the board. They're running it, and their leaders, the governing body, sues Bessie, and it goes how far?
So that case was in Ron Johnson's courtroom.
Judge Ron Johnson.
Yes.
Okay.
And
how did that work?
He ruled in favor of Bessie.
He felt that it was right for Bessie to do that?
Well, the law states that Bessie has until January 31st to consider a school for renewal.
Okay.
So even though it seemed unfair, by law, that's their discretion.
Sure.
If they want to hold one school up to January.
But do they have to do it for a good cause that,
so,
or they could do, like you said, it is at their discretion, and I understand that part, and I maybe, it is what it is, but did they have to say why? Even if it's at their discretion, did they have to do it for cause? Did they have to have a cause?
There was no law requiring them to do it. So the judge was to strictly apply the law.
Mm-hmm.
They had until January 31st to do it. And although unfair,
mm-hmm.
That was the law.
Yes.
So we patiently waited to January for them to consider what they
were. Were you all the only ones taken off?
It was us and another school under Charter School USA that did not qualify for renewal according to the charter compact requirements.
Why?
Because they didn't have the letter grade that's required for renewal.
So you all had a letter grade B. Charter School USA had a letter grade, what? Do you recall?
I'm not sure. I think it was an F.
Okay. Okay. So would a D have made them not qualify?
I don't know if it was a D or F.
But would a D have not?
Well,
according to the charter compact.
I believe it. Well, when you're on your second renewal,
okay,
you have to have a C or better.
Okay, and it was
so
less.
They were past their second renewal.
So you all are on the list with a B, Charter USA with a D or F. Both of you are taken off the December agenda. Why were they taken off? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
Were they going through an audit as well, or are any of the other schools?
Well, obviously they were, because they audit just was published, so they obviously were. I wasn't aware of that at the time.
Okay. But so both of you all are off the agenda. You wait till January. Are you all the two that comes back on the agenda in January?
Yes.
Okay.
And we both were approved with conditions, which again I found to be unfair because we met all of the criteria.
Right.
And GeoPrep, who had a published audit out at that time with violations, did not have any conditions with their renewal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it the GeoPrep operating in Baker?
Well, it's all one company.
Okay.
So they have GeoPrep is a charter management organization, and they have multiple sites under that
umbrella. Okay. All right. So in totality, they had this terrible audit. They get approved for 6 years with no stipulations. Here you are with a perfect audit. You get approved with stipulation and delayed 30 days. And Charter USA, again, also, both of you all. All right. So now we're at the Bessie meeting, correct?
So after the renewal, 2 weeks later, the Impact Charter School audit is published, and they have all of these egregious so-called findings that were, I won't get into detail, but I will.
Can you give us 2 to 3 of the grievous findings? For those that know, I don't know, want to put you in a bad position, but is there something so grievous that it's obvious? I mean, it's like, how could this, what are you talking about? It's so...
Well, I will say this. I can't get into details, but I can say this. The findings were framed in a way to maliciously make me appear as a leader, as I was conducting criminal misconduct.
Can I say some of the things that I heard in talking in the community? Would you be able to answer? Wow, this conversation has been so insightful. Come back again. There's so much more to be unpacked.